Hi, I'm Lindsay Reither. I'm a partner and owner of Webshine, a Drupal SEO company in Aspen, Colorado. And this is a screencast about how to configure the XML sitemap module in a Drupal 7 website. So to begin with, we've installed the XML sitemap module into the site, and we need to begin to enable it by going to Modules and checking on the relevant boxes. So we're going to begin by installing the standard XML sitemap module, and we'll save configuration. And then we'll scroll down and select what more advanced customizations we'd like to install. So to begin with, the main options here, first is to allow for custom links to be added to the XML sitemap. This can be very convenient if you'd like to add a view, which can be some of the most powerful pages for SEO for a website, to your XML sitemap. So I'm going to go ahead and check that. The next is whether or not we'd like to submit our sitemap to the search engines, Google and Bing. I'm going to go ahead and check that box as well. This enables us to instantly submit the XML sitemap to the search engines when new content is added to the site and added to the XML sitemap. Our fourth option here allows for internationalization, which isn't applicable on this website, but should your site have an international component, I'd recommend checking that box as well. And the last four checkboxes relate to what type of content and how we'd like to add that content to the XML sitemap. So we have the option of using our menus, nodes, taxonomy, and user, or some combination of the four. I'm going to go ahead and check all four options as just a standard configuration for just about any sitemap. We're going to go ahead and save the module configuration, and we're going to go in and configure the XML sitemap. So when I arrive here, I have automatically generated sitemap.xml. So I'm going to go and take a look at what that looks like. And I can see basically the only page that's been added has been the home page, and it's been set to a priority of 1 with a change frequency of daily. This is a great start for the XML sitemap, and I'd recommend you keep the home page set at 1 and make this the only page set to 1, but we'd like to add the rest of our content in a structured fashion. This is where some of the fun begins, and we can start to strategize what type of content we'd like to assign to the XML sitemap and what permissions and settings we'd like to apply. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Settings as the first task, and here I'm offered the 4 different options that I enabled in my sitemap XML settings, and I can decide if I want to allow the main menu to be included or excluded and set priorities, and it lets me know what type of content is available as far as volume within each option. My recommendation is to begin by building your sitemap from content based on content types, because it allows us to assign a priority between 0 and 1 that's relative to the importance of each piece of content. So typically my main menu may have multiple layers of structure to it with a first, second, and third level page. And if I set the menu link to, say, make all main menu items be a priority of 0.5, I really don't differentiate between those first and second level pages. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at my content. If I'm coming into a website which I didn't build and I'm not very familiar with, at this point I'll take some time to familiarize myself with the different types of content that are included and the amount of content within each. And I can do that simply by going to the content page and sorting and saying, all right, I'd like to make a decision as to what an article is and what priority I should assign to it, but I don't actually know what's stored in articles, and so I see here that it's a press release. So I'm going to go ahead and start by assigning the highest level of priority to our strongest pages. In this case, we're working with a vacation-related website, so we have basic pages with just general content on Hawaii. We have press releases about articles. We have condos and hotels, which we're marketing, and then we have events on the various islands. So I'm going to begin with configuring the content type basic page, and I'm going to assign this a higher priority than the S, so I'm going to allow it to be included and assign it a priority of 0.8 because these are my most important pages. I go ahead and save that, and now I'm going to go ahead and go back, and I can see that it's been included, My next most important pages are my properties, because that's how this website actually becomes monetized. So I'm going to go into condo and hotel and treat these equally, and I'm going to set these to 0.5, which is the default priority. Go ahead and do the same for hotels. Typically, your priority settings have to do with the distance away a piece of content is from the home page. So in this case, I'm working on an event, and the site will ultimately have quite a few events included. There'll be a top-level event page, which I'd like to set a priority of something close to 1, probably a 0.8. But for right now, and that'll most likely be a view. And then the sub-level event pages, I'm going to call a 0.4. They're less important than, say, the hotel and condo rentals, but they're more important than what will be the article, which is our press releases. I'm going to go ahead and hit Save Content Type. And the final one will be article. And as I mentioned, this content is slightly further away from the home page, so I'm going to give it a priority of 0.3. And now I'm going to go look and see what's happening in my XML sitemap. So if I go ahead and refresh this page, I'm going to quickly notice nothing happened. The reason being there is, as I'm assigning these different priorities, I actually have to ultimately go and say rebuild links and allow Drupal to rebuild the XML sitemap. So I'll do that, and let's hit refresh. And now I can see a slightly more robust XML sitemap, which includes last modification dates, change frequencies, and priorities. If I sort this list by priority, I'd like to see the homepage of the site as a 1, and then my content in relative terms down to a 0.3 in this case, but down to a 0.1 in general. At this point, now that I've got the content types, I'd basically say I'm ready to go from rather working in a broad sense in the content types. I'm going to actually go at a more page level and look at the different content that's been generated into my XML sitemap. In this instance, it's quite simple since we only have 9 URLs, but had the site had thousands of pages, this would become a more strenuous activity. So I'm going to go ahead and open node 1. I'm not sure what this is, and I have a feeling it has to do with maybe some content that we've pulled into the home page on a block or some other URL that I don't actually want crawled. I'm going to go ahead and hit edit on this page, and I'm going to overwrite the content type settings by coming in here and basically saying, in this case, I don't want to follow the default. I want to actually exclude this piece of content. I'll go in and rebuild my links. And refresh my XML sitemap, and I should now have 8 URLs listed, and I've removed that piece of duplicate content. At this point, my XML sitemap is close. I've assigned content types to priorities. I've cleaned up on a page level basis, but I haven't actually vetted to see if there's any important pages on my website which aren't included in this because they're not actually a node. A typical example for that is a view, and so for that, if I have a view that's relevant, I'd come in and click Add Custom Link, and I'm going to go ahead and say this is going to be View for Hotels, which has not yet been created. I'm going to assign it a high priority of 0.8 because this is the page that's going to display all of the different hotels. And for change frequency, we tend to add different hotels to our website on a daily basis, so I'm going to hit Daily. It didn't like that because this page hasn't actually been created yet, so I'll have to go ahead and create that page and then resubmit this process. This concludes the XML sitemap module configuration screencast. We'll pick this back up with site verification in Google, Yahoo, and Bing, including submitting this content to the search engines. Thank you.